Morning, Joe.
Hey, Sherman, how are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you. It's getting close to the end of the year, so just thought it would be a great chance to do a little bit of an update with you. And it's we're here with Joe Haber, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Outcrop Silver and Gold. And Joe, as I mentioned just prior to us, jumping onto the call, we're starting to see some real action in the resource markets. It's been a nice surprise coming into the end of the year. Volumes have actually been, reasonable and a lot of interest in particular. And I thought I would just run this by you. I was talking to one of the main institutional investors that we work with in Vancouver. And they very specifically said that one of the things that they're going to be targeting for 2023 is precious metals. And I thought that was interesting because, obviously, we've been working with a theme in the last few months of, kind of the revenge of the old economy and the revenge of the miners with electrification and with the demands that are going to be there for silver and copper and tin. I mean, if we look at the periodic tables, there's going to be certain elements that are going to really benefit from electrification, not to mention just, the growth of the world. And we know there's going to be a shortage of copper and there's going to be a shortage of silver. And, you had mentioned on our last call, the ratio improving between gold and silver. And so, that's pretty exciting news for Outcrop Silver and Gold to know that, number one, you're really advancing the projects, but also this 2023 looks like it's lining up to be the year for precious metals.
Yep, seems to be to me too. And I think with respect to that and our position in silver, I think because of the dual use or more than dual use of silver, both as a precious metal and as an industrial metal, that we're going to be more leveraged with respect to just being, a gold producer. And from everything I can gather, that silver is going to fairly rapidly move into deficit because one, its primary production is byproduct, almost 70-80%. And the other is that it's not a captured a primary supply. And the other is that silver by far is the best metal conductor. And really that is the essential ingredient from metals being used in electric vehicles or solar or any transition or metal for the transition energy transition economy.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think the other thing to highlight with Outcrop is, the space better than anybody. Like, how many high-grade silver, companies that are advanced as Outcrop? There's just not that many names for people to invest in the silver world.
No, there really aren't. And you also have to look at the timing or look for a catalyst that can re-rate your invested company, or the company you're invested in, I'm sorry. And, that's really what we're looking at with respect to taking a very high grade quality discovery to a resource in the coming weeks. And it should, because we'll go from just sort of a subjective evaluation on how good is the people, how good is the project, to actual, numbers, which will be X million silver equivalent ounces time, at least $3 for an average, and maybe as high as $4 or $5 per ounce.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we've highlighted. That's obviously what piqued our interest in, what got us involved with Outcrop was, the known mineralization and leading towards, the guidance is about 50 million ounces of high grade silver in Colombia. And I think that's something that investors, need to make a note of. And it's interesting, we're in the silver world, the market is really interested in silver producers, number one, but when it comes to the exploration side, Outcrop really stands out because you've already got essentially it's a significant amount of ounces in the ground.
That too, and in particular, ounce value, silver equivalent, silver ounce or silver equivalent ounce value is highly dependent on grade. So if you look at the average grade worldwide, you're starting to fall to about 350 grams silver equivalent. So then if you look at Silvercrest, Dos Chispas, for example, at least their feasibility study, they came in at 890 grams. There is no one I know of higher than that. And then we would be ranked below them, but maybe with a peer of two. So there might be 3 companies, including us, that can anticipate the kind of grades that we expect. And you say, well, how do you know? But one thing that's interesting about grade, especially when you get into the hundreds of holes, is that grade becomes a fairly consistent feature of a district. Mm-hmm. So that, volume can be harder because there's a lot more variables, but just average grade for a district. Once you establish that average grade, it pretty much maintains that value, upwards toward the resource or downwards towards just drilling. Grade is always king.
Grade is always king, and I think one of the things that we've been highlighting for people in 2023, and I think this is why precious metals is going to be such a key component, and I think you will start to see institutional investors increasing their allocations and looking for really good names in both the silver and the gold space, is we've got this continued concern about the overall economy. And when you've got inflation rates and higher rates and sort of uncertainty in the broad market, that's very good for gold and silver. So, I think investors globally are looking for a safe place to put their money in. And you can go out and buy silver bullion, but then you got to store it and you got to, all those sorts of things. Plus your upside then becomes whatever the price of bullion moves. So you and I are both really bullish on the silver price, but part of my point is to build some awareness with investors is that if you can buy those silver ounces, the same silver ounces already in the ground, you're buying the same bullion, but you've got way more potential upside by owning a stock like Outcrop Silver and Gold, provided that you've got really good management and people that can execute so that we can actually ultimately mine that silver or attract a buyer. So there's a caveat. You can go out and buy silver bullion, but the nice thing about buying Outcrop is you get the benefit of the increase in the price of silver, plus the stock at these price levels in this 30 to 40 cent range is significantly undervalued, providing so you're kind of double dipping. You're getting the price of silver, plus you're getting the undervalued nature of the stock. So
right. I mean, it's certainly safe to sit on a bunch of silver under your bed, but I agree with you. There's just a lot more leverage on silver prices when the silver price dramatically affects share value.
Yeah.
So there's just so much more leverage there. I agree.
Yeah, there's way more leverage, and I think what you've done in 2022, and that's part of the reason I wanted to just touch base with you before to the end of the year is congratulate you on executing the strategy. And I mean that's what us as investors look for, is to have those boxes checked. We've got we're heading towards a significant resource. We've had continued exploration success. You've managed the treasury properly, and those things need to happen, to be able to have an increasing share price. So, congratulations for 2022, and we really look forward to 2023. And I know you've got a number of things that you're cooking that you're going to be dishing out over the next couple of weeks. So we're pretty excited.
Well, it definitely is hard work, but it's work that there's nothing I'd rather do. I just enjoy, taking a Santa Ana like this, recognizing the value before it really has any drilling, making a prediction and hitting those numbers. It's really gratifying.
It really is. And I mean, and you look at that district, maybe just to close, just to talk about, how incredible that district is and how supported it is within Colombia.
Yeah, that speaks a little bit about the new towards the new government, but the government is not anti-mining in Colombia, the new government, but the government wants it, and it's said several times that it will support mining companies that are engaged and benefiting and supported by the community. And I mean, we've been doing that for 2.5 years, and it's been very innovative type work. Sometime you ought to go to the Proyectos Minerales webpage, the Minerales Santa Ana Facebook page. It's just like a site visit, really, because it really shows the detail or the strong integration of the community with the work our company's doing and the benefits we're bringing. And it's really impressive to look at for an alternative view of what the company and the project looks like.
Well, and I bared witness to it. I mean, I went to the site visit with you in Colombia, and boy, the smiles on the people's faces, and I've been to many site visits, and there's a real culture of mining there. There's a culture of looking after the community, and so I'm really excited. So I've been here with Joe Haber, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Outcrop Silver and Gold. And Joe, just to close, we want to wish you a wonderful Merry Christmas, and to all of our listeners, and a Happy New Year. I'm pretty sure this is our last interview of the year, so it's been great, and look forward to seeing you in Vancouver in January.
Yep, it'll be fun, Sherman, and Merry Christmas to you, and Merry Christmas to all your listeners from me and from Outcrop.
Thank you.